Let's talk about research in psychology.
Psychology.
Let's talk about research in psychology. Let's talk about research in psychology. Psychologists and other scientists clarify their questions about behavior and mental process by phrasing them in terms of a hypothesis, a specific testable proposition about something they want to study. Observations are often an important part of case studies, which are intensive examinations of behavior or mental processes in particular individual, group, or situation. Case studies, which are intensive examinations of behavior or mental processes. In surveys, researchers use interviews or questionnaires to ask people about their behavior, attitudes, beliefs, opinions, or intentions.
In surveys, researchers use interviews or questionnaires.
Correlational studies examine relationships between variables in order to describe research data more fully, to test predictions, to evaluate theories, and to suggest new hypotheses about why people think and act as they do. Experiments are situations in which the researcher manipulates one variable and then observes the effect of that manipulation on another variable, while holding all other variables constant.
Let's talk about research in psychology.
The group that receives an experimental treatment, such as EMDR, is called, naturally enough, the experimental group. The group that receives no treatment or some other treatment is called the control group. The variable controlled by the experimenter is called the independent variable. This second variable is called the dependent variable because it is affected by or depends on the independent variable.
The dependent variable because it is affected by or depends on the independent variable.
In an experiment, any factor that affects the dependent variable along with or instead of the independent variable is a confounding variable. Random variable. In an experiment, a confounding variable in which uncontrolled or uncontrollable factors affect the dependent variable along with or instead of the independent variable. Random assignment. The procedure by which random variables are evenly distributed in an experiment by putting participants into various groups through a random process. A placebo is a physical or psychological treatment that contains no active ingredient but produces an effect because the person receiving it believes it will. Experimenter bias, a confounding variable that occurs when an experimenter unintentionally encourages participants to respond in a way that supports the hypothesis. Double-blind design, a research design in which neither the experimenter nor the participants know who is in the experimental group and who is in the control group. Sampling, the process of selecting participants who are members of the population that the researcher wishes to study.
In surveys, researchers use interviews or questionnaires.
Random assignment.
The dependent variable because it is affected by or depends on the independent variable.
Let's talk about research in psychology.